Hey guys, Rick Stone here from Stony Acres Gardening. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about 5 fall planted bulbs. These are all flower bulbs that if you plant this fall are going to yield big benefits for your vegetable garden next spring. Before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe, and a big thank you today to True Leaf Marketplace, who is sponsoring this video. True Leaf has a huge selection this year of fall planted spring flowering bulbs, including the 5 that we're going to be talking about today in the video. So make sure you go check out their huge selection. There's a link down in the description of this video that you can click on to go see more over at True Leaf Market. And again, big thanks to them for sponsoring this video today. All right, so let's get started on the 5 bulbs that I think you should be planting this fall, whose flowers are going to be helping your vegetable garden out next spring. So the first flower bulb on our list is daffodils. So you're going to plant these guys in the fall, and they're going to give you some great benefit in the spring. Daffodils are really good for repelling some pests. So there's a lot of rodents that don't like daffodils, and deer also do not like daffodils. So a good strategy with daffodil bulbs is to plant them in the perimeter of your garden. That's going to kind of help protect those more vulnerable plants that are inside your garden. So plant those daffodil bulbs on the outside of your garden. That's really going to help. And I like to plant daffodils in clumps. So kind of mounds or hills basically of 6 to maybe 10 bulbs together is really going to give you a nice showy view in the spring, having those clumped together. The other nice thing about daffodils is they're kind of a plant once and you don't have to worry about them for a long time type of flowers. So planting some daffodils this year, year after year after year, your yield of blooms and flowers, that clump that you planted is just going to get bigger and bigger, more flowers. I've had clumps of daffodils last for more than a decade in my yard, producing just beautiful flowers all spring and giving me those pest repelling benefits. So daffodils, definitely one that you want to get in your garden to keep those deer and other rodents out and away from your garden. Next on the list is alums. So here we're talking about both the decorative alum, which is kind of a flower, but also things like garlic and onions are also going to be very beneficial. We plant those in the fall, and they're going to give us some really good benefits in the spring. Alums are going to repel pests. Things like aphids, cabbage worms, slugs and snails do not like anything in the alum family, and so they're going to be repelled by those, and they'll help to protect some of your other crops. The other really nice thing about alums is they can also improve the flavor of some of your crops as well. So things like carrots and tomatoes will actually be improved. The taste of those will be improved by having some alums close by. So consider putting those into your garden. The other thing that alums bring to the table is they last longer than most of our other spring planted bulbs. So most spring planted bulbs are going to be done fairly early in the season, whereas alums are going to last longer into the season. So they're going to give you those pest repelling effects further into the spring and even into early and midsummer before you're actually going to be clearing those out of your garden. So alums are a great choice for a fall planted bulb that are going to help your vegetable garden. Next on our list is tulips. Now, tulips don't have any like super repelling properties like some of the other flowers do. Instead, we're going to be planting tulips for one reason only, and that is those big, beautiful, showy, early spring flowers, okay? Number one, they're going to look great in your garden, and we want to plant them in our vegetable garden for that reason. But the other reason is those big, showy blossoms are going to be very attractive to our pollinators early in the season. And a good policy is to have those flowers early in the season so that those early emerging bees and other pollinators that are out and about will see your garden as a place to come consistently for pollen. And so getting those out early is a great way to, have that happen. And tulips are good for that because they're a big, beautiful, showy blossom that are going to be out very early in the season. So definitely want to be planting some tulips this fall for next year's spring. And next on our list is hyacinths. So hyacinths are a beautiful flower, big showy blossom, again, that is going to help attract those early pollinators to our garden. They come out fairly early in the season and last for a solid month or more. And so a good showy pollinator attractor, but they also, because they're so fragrant, are good at repelling a few pests. They've been known to repel mice and other rodents, and so they're a good selection as well. And then again, just that great option for bringing early pollinators into your garden is really going to benefit. And number 5 on our list is crocus. So I really love crocus because they're one of the very earliest blooms that we get in the garden. They have nice color selection. You've got some purples and blues, some yellows and oranges, so they give you a good variety there. They're not the earliest blossoms in the garden, but pretty close to. And so the fact that they're a little bit showier, they're a little bit bigger, is again going to benefit you a lot when it comes to attracting pollinators. We want to have those pollinators in our garden early, and crocus are going to be the earliest ones out there. So as soon as those bees start to emerge, when the weather warms up, they're going to find those crocus, and again, they're going to know that your garden, your vegetable garden, is a good source of pollen. The crocus are going to help you as we attract those bees for, you know, some of your early vegetables that you're planting that need pollinators. Things like broad beans and maybe your peas as well will benefit from those early pollinators. And so crocus, just a great solution. Having a good mix of these early spring blooming flowers in your garden is going to give vitality to your garden. It's going to attract those pollinators. It's going to give balance to your garden and the overall system in your garden. So choosing to plant some of these fall planted bulbs now in the fall so that you have those blossoms in the spring is a great choice for just kind of giving you a good overall environment in your garden. So I love to have a few of these bulbs planted in my garden, and I'm going to be doing some right now. But before we get started on the planting demonstration, I did want to take just a minute to say thank you again to True Leaf Market and for sponsoring this video today. Make sure that you go check out the huge selection of fall bulbs that they have right now. They've got all 5 of the varieties that we talked about in this video, and several others as well that are available. Dozens of different varieties and colors, and just a huge selection. So go check them out. It's trueleafmarket.com, or you can just click on the link down in the description of this video. That will take you over to their website, and I've got it set up so that it'll link you directly to their fall bulb page. So go check them out, and again, big thank you to True Leaf for sponsoring this video. So let's talk about when we should be planting these fall planted bulbs. You want to get them in the ground about 6 to 8 weeks before your ground freezes solid. Okay, so for me, that's about December 1st. It's going to be different for everybody. Whenever that temperature arrives that your ground freezes solid, that's where we kind of mark it back. So another good guide for you would be when you want to plant them when your nighttime temperatures are somewhere between 40 and 50 degrees. When we start to see those evening temperatures land in the 50s, low 50s or 40s, that's when we want to make that happen. If you live, somewhere where you're on Celsius, that's going to be about 4.5 to 10 degrees Celsius is what we're targeting. When those nighttime temperatures get down to there, that's kind of the window, 6 to 8 weeks before that freeze time. So for me, if we count back from December 1st, that means we're going to be planting somewhere between October 1st and October 15th is when we want to get them in the ground. Again, we want those temperatures to be in the 40s at night. Now, another important thing that you need to know about fall planted bulbs is in order for them to bloom, they need about 12 to 14 weeks of extended cold weather. So we want weather that is below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 4.5 degrees Celsius. We need an extended amount of time with temperatures in that range. 3 months basically is what we need. So if you live somewhere in the south, then you may not have that much time where we have 3 to 4 months worth of really cool chilling weather. They need that chill in order for them to bloom in the spring. So the way we get around that, if you live in the south, is you're going to go ahead and plant those bulbs in some kind of a container. You can just put a whole bunch of bulbs in a container, cover them up with some dirt, put that in the fridge. Okay, so you're gonna have to find a spot in your fridge, put that in your fridge, make sure that the temperature in your fridge is below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, again 4.5 Celsius, and leave them there for at least 12 weeks. Okay, that will, and then you're going to take them out and plant them in your garden after that. That will give the chilling effect that you need for these fall bulbs if you live in the south. Those of us in the north, we don't really need to worry about that. So how do we plant these guys? Basically, the idea is we want to plant them about 2 to 3 times as deep as they are tall. So this is a tulip bulb, and it's about 2 inches tall. So we want these guys to be planted about 4 to 6 inches deep in the ground, which is pretty deep, okay? So you want to make sure that you go ahead and loosen the soil up first with a nice fork, a digging fork or something like that. I'm not going to turn the soil because I'm not a big fan of that, but you want to loosen that up. And then the thing that I like to do is add a little compost. So I'm just going to put a bit of compost here. We're going to go ahead and mix that in kind of just to the top layer. That's going to, all that goodness from that homemade compost is going to work its way down into that hole later on. You can even put a little bit in the hole. Then we're going to go ahead and dig us a hole that's about 4 to 6 inches deep. So there we go. I'm going to put 3 bulbs in here. I'm going to go ahead and throw just a little bit more compost down in this hole and mix it in. That hole's about 4 inches deep. And then is what we want to do is we want to put the rounded end of the bulb down. Pointy end is where the stem's going to come out of. Rounded end goes down. That's where the roots are going to be. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put, because I like to have a clump of flowers, so I'm going to go ahead and put 3 in this hole. And we are going to just cover them up like that. And then all we need to do is just go ahead and cover that hole back in. And those guys are planted and ready to go. In the fall, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and try and water them in once. So give them a good water. But after that, we pretty much let Mother Nature take care of the watering. So you don't want to be doing a lot of excess watering over the wintertime. That can cause those bulbs to rot. Just let Mother Nature do her thing. If you happen to have an extended amount of time where you don't have a lot of rain or snow during the winter, maybe 4 weeks or more, then maybe you can sneak out and go ahead and water them then. But for the most part, most of us that live in the north really don't need to worry too much about that. So you don't need to fuss with watering them during the season. Just let Mother Nature take care of it. One other thing, if you have had a soil test done that indicates that your soil is a little bit low in phosphorus, then you will want to maybe give that soil a little bit of additional high phosphorus fertilizer, something organic where the phosphorus is a little bit higher. You can go ahead and mix that into the soil at the planting time as well. But you only really need to do that if you've had a soil test that indicates that you've got a phosphorus problem. Usually the compost and just the health of your garden soil is going to take care of most of that. So you don't normally have to do a lot of fertilizing unless you have an issue. All right, so that is how we plant those bulbs. And those 5 bulbs that you can plant this time of year are really going to be beneficial for you in the spring. So make sure you get some planted. That's all I have for you for this week. Again, another really big thanks to True Leaf Market for sponsoring this video. Make sure you go check out the huge selection of fall planted bulbs that they have on their website. There's a link in the description of this video that you can click on and go over and check that out as well. So thank you again. True Leaf Market is awesome. We love having them as a sponsor on these videos, and go check them out. They've got a whole bunch of great stuff for you. All right, that's all I have for you for this week. Everybody have a fantastic week. Happy gardening. Hey guys, thanks again for watching, and make sure you get subscribed to my channel. Here's a couple of videos that YouTube thinks you're really going to enjoy. And I also wanted to have you go check out the Gardening Academy, which is our monthly membership service where we grow great gardeners. There's a link in the description of this video you can click on to learn more, but I'd love to have you join us over there. Happy gardening.